Days away from the Iowa caucus, and Ron Paul sits atop the polls. But does he have the staying power to remain at the top? Or will accusations of racism bring his candidacy down? All new at 6, KVU's Mark Wiggins is live now in the newsroom to tell us what he's found out today. Mark?
Well, Tyler, the story is only getting stranger. Today, we spoke with a former staffer of Paul's who told me Paul knew exactly what was going into those newsletters, but is not a racist. Slow and steady, Ron Paul has solidified himself as a top-tier GOP contender threatening to take Iowa by storm. Observing from Texas is longtime writer and political watcher Harvey Kronberg.
His messages remain consistent, and it's striking a populist streak that is pretty much in sync with the Republican primary right now.
Along with Paul's peak has come the sharpest challenge of his campaign, an old scandal involving racist commentary in Ron Paul newsletters from the 1980s and 90s. Commentary Paul denies he ever saw and says he's tired of answering for.
These things are pretty incendiary. You know,
because of people like you.
No.
Kronberg says it's no surprise the issue hasn't come to the national forefront until now.
For anybody to really pay attention, you have to be a serious contender, and this is the first time anybody is going to consider him a serious contender.
But at least one former staffer says Paul knew much more than he's admitting. Former staffer Eric Dondero worked for Paul from the late 80s until 2003. In 2007, Paul described him as, quote, a disgruntled former employee who was fired. Despite his participation, Dondero wrote a lengthy statement absolving Paul of claims of racism and anti-Semitism. We spoke with Dondero over the phone.
This racist newsletter stuff is crazy and stupid, and Ron made some silly remarks and wrote some silly things way back when, but it all pales in comparison to the real scandal.
Dondero disagrees with Paul's foreign policy of non-intervention and disengagement and accuses the congressman of nearly voting against the U.S. invasion of Afghanistan after the 9/11 terrorist attacks. But how much foreign policy will come into play is tough to say.
And at the end of the day, Republican primary voters are more obsessed about beating Barack Obama than they are about ideological purity.
Now, I put up a link to that entire statement. You can check it out at KVUE.com. Just go find the story. Live in the newsroom, Mark Wiggins, KVUE News.
Very good, Mark. Thank you. We will be there next week for the caucuses. Watch live right here at 6 o'clock.